Everybody.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the very special episode of the Outer Belt Podcast. As you all noticed, it's not the podcast anymore, is it?
It's not the podcast.
I will get
anymore.
that
It
right
hasn't been in
one
quite
of
some
these
time.
days. One of these days, I'll get it right.
Yeah.
Well, as you can all see, it's a very special episode of the show.
The show.
We are here surrounded by the entire Highfield family staff.
Yes.
Highfield trucking
It's
staff.
been a great time getting them all in here.
Woo!
Yes. Has it been a great time? It's been busy.
It's been busy.
It's been busy.
Crazy busy.
Crazy
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
I personally blame Kelly for that.
It's all Kelly's fault, as
It's
usual.
all Kelly's fault.
Yeah.
It's always Kelly's fault. It's better if you say that
in a
you have the
microphone.
microphone in your
Yeah.
hand.
It felt a little like herding cats a few moments ago, but yeah, we
Well-
all are in here.
Yes, absolutely. We are actually all here. We can't move.
No, we're kind of stuck.
We're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
There is no easy access. That couch right there, fun fact, they all had to sit in unison.
Yeah.
So there's four
Yeah.
people on a two-person
Yeah.
couch, and
Not
It only
before
took about-
Don and I didn't get all the way in the corner.
It only took about 45 minutes for us to get them all to sit in unison.
yes,
Because it was like, okay, are we doing this on 3 or on 3 and then we sit? Or how are we
I know
doing
it was like
right?
1, 2, sit, or
Right.
1, 2, 3, sit,
Right, exactly.
and then there's
So
the Crisco.
it's
That's going to be
it's
such a
so
mess. I
greasy
am
over
not
there.
looking forward to cleaning that up.
Well, it's on you. I don't live here, so I don't have to clean it up.
Well,
Dina, are you using that Crisco later to make some biscuits?
no, cinnamon rolls. I think it's
Oh,
cinnamon
nice.
rolls.
Cinnamon rolls for breakfast tomorrow. Yeah, yeah.
We are so glad. I know y'all saw the intro just now, so you saw everybody who they are. That was a lot of fun putting together. Jerry, thank you so much. That took
a
hours, I
blast.
know, but you had
Yeah.
nothing else going on. So, it was it was a really nice treat to this. So, Dina, I think it's only fitting that I come to you first and go, why are we all here?
We are here for the Highfield Family 2024 Mentor Retreat.
That's right.
Woo, woo.
Woo!
We are here to celebrate our mentors, bring them together with the staff, and just show them our appreciation, get them working together a little bit, getting to know each other, and getting to know us.
So, in the timeline of things, as far as the viewer or listener is concerned, we are just starting Saturday. Last night we had an epic celebration of life.
Mhm.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. It was we did a Dia de Muertos event, celebration of life, right? Like it's a remembrance, right?
Remembrance.
Yes, and which was really fun, really cool. That thing that Don did.
Yeah. I think that
It is
surprised us
dawn.
all.
I was so mad we didn't have a camera on him.
Yeah,
but,
that surprised
you
us
know,
all.
It's one of those things that have to live in infamy.
Yep. Yep.
Infamy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Now, when Jimmy tried to outdo him, disrespectful. But you know, he's a lot older, so we can't get him on it. So, but anyways, so today we're starting the meat and potatoes of the retreat, right?
Yes.
What are you excited about?
I'm excited about the team building event.
I am too.
I'm really looking forward to that and see how our mentors fare.
Yes, and oh
in
man,
their-
so the timing of this is kind of rough because I want to talk to you about it because I have some, I'm excited about it,
Mhm.
but we can't
No.
because if you are a mentor and you're here listening to us now,
Right. They're gonna
we
know all
can't
about
give it
No,
away.
we cannot.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
No.
Well, next week, me, Buttermilk, Vince, Eric,
Jerry.
Jerry. No, not really. We will. We'll wrap up and tell you how it went. So y'all be on the lookout for that. But
I'm excited. Do you better than the last one?
Oh,
Different.
I don't know. It's
Different?
it's completely different, but it only remains to be seen if we can even slightly shadow what
What Mel did?
Mel did last year
Yep.
with the Amazing Race.
Yep.
I believe that would be Stitches.
Stitches.
That would be
It
Stitches.
would be Stitches.
Okay, I forgot on the name.
Yeah.
We need name tags. Hello, my
Dude,
name is.
Exactly.
Stitches.
So we all know who we are now.
Yeah. No,
I'm-
it's
I'm-
it was
I'm a
good.
little nervous.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous.
Oh,
Yeah.
about which part?
Yeah.
His role.
My role.
What are you doing? Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did they not know?
I
that?
don't. I
I
didn't
don't
know
I don't
that.
think anybody knows.
I don't know
Oh,
anything.
I'm sorry, I just
So
spilled the
this
beans.
is one of those weird situations where I know what we're doing, high level. I know where it's going to take place
Well, not really.
as of
In your house
yeah,
somewhere.
as of 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
I got the scoop on that. And now I know a little more information on it.
Mm.
I
I
am
like
oh, this is
It has
exciting.
been a team effort with Jerry. Jerry's done some deep research into how to make this come about, this concept, and Mel and I have worked together and getting things done. And
I'm excited.
I'm excited
handing it
too.
to Jerry, and
Is it
Jerry's
Saturday yet?
Ran with it.
It is.
It is Saturday.
It is
Yeah,
Saturday. It's actually
morning.
Saturday.
It's
Yeah.
not Saturday night.
Yes. It's been really cool. You talk about Jerry helping out with all this. It's funny because we brought Jerry in as IT and producer for this podcast, right? That's kind of his whole job role, and it's morphed into what he really is the paid researcher. That's I feel like he spends 50% of his time researching, 40% of his time implementing, and 10% of his time wrangling the five of us for the podcast.
No, there's
Joe.
some time missing there. We're
Is-
missing a lot of time for coffee.
Oh, well,
We gotta
yes.
figure out the coffee time.
Did you? Oh, Prime Day came and went. Did you end up getting the $7,000 coffee maker?
No, he won't let me.
I won't let him.
He literally told me no.
Thanks
Listen,
for confirmation, Don.
You could get okay. All right, I get it. You could take the same money and travel, first class to France for a week. You could buy a new car. You could. What else could you do with that money? I don't know. Or you could buy a coffee maker, which will make coffee
for
for
years and years.
well, the way he buys coffee makers, a couple
That's true,
years,
a couple years.
and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
It would make really, really good coffee.
Oh, I would love to come over and have that really, really good coffee.
See there,
I'll even.
that's a good
I'll
reason
even
not
pay
to
my
get the
dues.
coffee maker.
Like I'd
'cause
rather come
Melissa
pay my
won't come
$4 or
over.
$5
He literally
to you.
went to Starbucks just the other day, and I was like, "Look, if we had this at home, that would have saved you $7."
Right, and your
Yes.
time,
Yes,
and your time.
Yeah, because we waited at the drive-through forever.
forever,
Yeah.
and that was on company time.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But still,
I do like a cup of Joe, but it's funny because you just like a year ago you told us about the new
Mhm.
excited.
but that was a good drip coffee maker. This is an actual espresso machine. I want an espresso machine.
Isn't there like a coffee shop going out of business? You could just buy
Yes.
their old coffee maker. What is this side
Are we having
conversation going
side
on? What is happening
conversations
here?
over
Dina
going
needs
on?
the microphone.
What's going on here?
Sidebar.
There's no
There's no
sidebars.
side. You are live on
our-
television. The
We're just
American.
having a sidebar about
There's
an
no
espresso machine
sidebars.
that he could potentially get one for not quite as much money that does exactly what. he
Have you
wants
met
to do.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Is it
I
a
know.
Breville?
Is it chrome plated?
I don't remember. It's not mine. My daughter has one.
Okay, but if it's not a Breville, he doesn't want it. He's not
Uh-huh.
interested.
It's not $7,000 like Patrick says, but it is expensive. But it would match all my other appliances because I have invested a lot into the Breville brand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just think you need to send this podcast to Breville and just see what
Yes.
happens.
Yes.
Breville, if
Listen-
you're out there listening, hook me up.
The only
You can
catch
do
is
research and some other stuff for them too.
the
for-
only
Right,
the only
exactly.
catch is you have to bring it to the show every day.
I
And
do
it's
it.
actually got to sit right up here.
Right,
It
make us
replaces
coffee.
it replaces this wonderful picture of me and Eric. And every day, part of the show was one moment for a coffee break, and we go and we.
Breville, we are looking for new sponsors for the show.
We are.
We are.
New sponsors.
New sponsors, yes. Well, the old sponsors, they're getting tired. Like they're like, and I go to the board meetings, and I deal with the pushback from the current sponsors, and they're mean. They just mean.
They're just mean.
So
Yeah.
it's new sponsors would be nice, but don't tell the current sponsors. They would not be.
They
happy
would not
about
be
it.
happy about that.
No. No, not at all.
They would not. I mean, the last time we got paid by the current sponsors, they paid us in pennies.
They did.
That was a pain to go to the bank with all those pennies.
Yes.
And I think after the last one, Pilot is not happy with me. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that kind of ruined that.
You know,
Yeah. No free coffee from them for sure.
RTA,
God.
RTA, or Petro.
Pilot canceled my professional driver's card after that.
Oh no.
But Loves is taking care of us.
Boo.
Love still takes care
Loves
of us.
is doing a
Yeah.
great job.
I go there every day and get a shower.
Oh.
They need that bean to cup though. Does Loves have the
They
bean
do
to
have a
cup?
bean to
Is
cup.
they
Loves
do?
have
It's
bean to
like
cup.
Loves
They do.
in. Okay, is it
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, welcome to 2019.
All right.
I haven't been in a truck in a minute.
How many minutes should we calculate?
We should.
Kidding.
Someone. If you can calculate, she got off the road in 2019. How many minutes has it been since
No,
she
I
got off?
didn't.
What?
February, the end of February, 1st of March will be 5 years. We've been.
Oh,
off.
20. You got 2020. That's right. Yeah,
Wow.
but
We
she
got off the truck and COVID
but
shut
she-
the world
okay,
down.
but-
16 days later.
in all fairness, she preempted her getting off the truck. She bought a car in 2019 and parked it at my house.
Facts.
Like, okay, because that's what you do, right?
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah,
They had the one I wanted up here. They didn't have. We looked everywhere, did we not?
there you go.
Yes. Yeah. We got it in Delaware.
Can I just say, Jimmy's hair,
I love it.
Oh yeah.
it looks like it's a cross between John and Punch on chips.
Ooh.
I love it.
I
I
heard
love
Tom
it.
I heard Tom Selleck earlier from Dina. I did say he kind of looks like he's from the 80s. Like, I don't know. It's got the feathery thing going.
Yeah,
I like
it's got
it.
feather.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Well, in the 80s, it actually was the butt cut, and I do have
Oh.
the side cut now. So
All right.
Oh
nice.
yeah, you gotta go
That's
side cut at least.
I
Like,
like
the,
it.
down the middle is no good.
yeah, every couple
Uh,
of years, I just grow it out, something different. And I'm threatening now when I do cut it, I'm going to leave the back the way it is for a while and
Oh, rock the mullet.
sport a mullet. I've never had a mullet. I've always
Nice.
wanted to. I'm a full-grown man. I can do what I want.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, you're forgetting you're a married
Yes,
full-grown
married
man.
full-grown
That
man.
that
Yep.
preempts.
Left that part
She
out.
doesn't
The
love you
second
for
part.
your hair, though.
That's correct.
No.
Yes. I liked. It almost got chopped off today. Dad walked in the house and, hi, Dad. And he walks up and he looks at you and he goes, "I know that hair, Jay Leno."
Thanks, Donnie. Thanks, Donnie. You're welcome.
100% accurate.
No, it's
It's
not.
completely accurate. For those who
Maybe
can't
the
hear,
color and only in color.
Oh, pull it up.
oh, it's great. I think it's wonderful. Go ahead and give us 5 minutes. Give us your best, Ross Perot. Oh wait, that's not Leno.
No,
that
that's
would
not
be
Leno.
oh,
Oh, that
he's
was
talking about.
Dana Carvey. Was it Dana
I
Carvey? It
think
was Dana Carvey, right?
Dana
Yeah,
Rossborough, yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man,
But thanks, Vince. Appreciate
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Jimmy.
the shout
You're
out.
welcome.
it could use a haircut.
No.
What?
Thank you.
No, I
Thank
like
you.
it.
Okay.
Makes him look distinguished.
Makes him look like straight out of like a 1960s sitcom.
70s.
I would give him
70s.
70s. I wouldn't say
80s.
60s.
Okay. It's definitely not.
You're too
80s.
young to know.
70s,
You're
yeah,
too
you
young
are
to
too
know
young
a
to know.
60s.
I
Again.
saw I Dream of Jeannie.
Again, Tom Selleck's still rocking his hair like that.
Is Tom Selleck still alive?
Yes.
Well, I would
Um,
like to. I would like to hear from Jimmy
I think we should.
because, as y'all know, that the listening audience and of course everybody here, y'all are all deep lovers of the show, and watch every single week. Jimmy, we've been talking with Eric for the past several weeks. We had a week off, but he's back on. Y'all are regulars. And he's been telling us all about what it's like being in the yard and then going up there and working with y'all for a little bit. So I'm curious now, what do you think? How do you like having him around?
And that's Eric Bender, correct?
That
I
is-
don't think Eric Hyfield's in the
That is Eric Bender.
Bender.
Yes, the newest addition to the Highfield family,
Yes.
Eric Bender. Yeah, he worked
newbie.
with Vince on the yard for a couple weeks. He came to the Highfield Southeast Division in North Georgia, worked for a week, getting him trained on the administrative side of the maintenance department, and he's picking it up good. He's learning a lot, and we'll get him on the phones as soon as we absolutely can, so me and Don can have a few minutes off every now and then. But yeah, we're excited to have Eric, and looking forward to the future, having him in maintenance.
Absolutely. It's so cool because right now he just got a new monitor. So for those that don't know, for the maintenance staff and for operations and maybe accounting, I'm not sure about that, but we buy these ridiculously large.
Not operations, fleet support.
Fleet support. I'm so sorry.
that's
no, no,
okay.
no. You got an iPad.
Yeah.
So for
It's easier to carry this around
than
than
a
a big
than
monitor.
a 40-inch
yeah,
monitor.
It truly is. Yeah.
So they get these huge monitors, and you can actually get like 2 full document pages side by side and manipulate and do all this cool stuff with it, which is great because we use different programs. So sometimes you can have one program, one window, one the other, and then go back and forth. So you just went. You actually it didn't even come in. You had to go fetch it, if I remember correctly, out at the Best Buy in where was it?
On Morse Road.
On Morse Road. Okay, yeah. So we sent you literally the opposite side of
Yeah,
Columbus from
right.
us. Nothing like going 40 minutes to pick up a monitor. So it's set up in my kitchen right now, and our dining room rather, and it takes up the entire table.
It does.
Like
Yeah.
I can hide behind it.
you could be asleep and we would not know.
Yeah, I might have done it.
Oh, really?
I don't think so.
Darn.
Every time I looked at you, you looked like you were
Oh yeah, I was into what I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
taking care of business, or Jimmy was by you providing.
Laser
Vince didn't even
focused.
say hi to me for the first 20
I didn't
minutes.
see you because
He
you,
was
were
like,
you were hidden
"Where were
behind
you?"
it. Where was I didn't see
playing
you.
behind
Yeah, I'm surprised.
it. It's nice though, for sure.
Well, it's great. We are gonna check the cameras though. Remind me, we gotta check the cameras later to see.
Gotcha.
I'm
But,
gonna get fired already.
You wouldn't get fired. There
It's
would just be a conversation.
Yes. Yes.
Conversation.
Uh,
Document.
No, but it was really cool. At one point today, since we are all up here, at one point today we had you behind your cubicle that you formed with your monitor and laptop, Don pacing, and Jimmy had one of my speakers. He has his laptop set up on top of one of my floor standing speakers from my stereo in the living room. His earbuds in, the monitor up, doing that like. It was just chaos. It was just everybody was going anywhere they could go to find a quiet space to do something. I think, if I'm not mistaken, so when y'all come up here, Jimmy and Kelly come up here. They stay at our house, and at one point, Kayla, you were in their bedroom doing work on a computer because you couldn't get away from the insanity, and it was.
She wanted a big monitor. She has a big monitor.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Big
there's a
monitor?
big monitor.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, now I get it. Okay. Well,
It's hard if you get us all on the phones together with someone. Because I came over around 11 noon, and was still answering calls in between helping prepare for mentor retreat.
Her office was the bar.
The bar, the kitchen bar.
The kitchen bar, yeah.
Yep, just a little corner that had a plug in, so I could keep things going. But you get us all on the phone, and you either have to step outside or
Mhm.
retreat to a closet, or
Yes.
something
There
to
were
where you could be quiet.
there were-
Here and not sound like you're in a
yes. Well, there were
customer service kind of office setting.
quite a few calls that I'm pretty sure if you called in to talk to Jimmy today, he was outside on the back porch during that call.
I have a comment to say on that.
Yes, ma'am.
My office was your patio bar, and I'm right in the middle of a conference call, and here comes Jimmy with a leaf blower. He had to take a break from his computer, I guess, and he comes down the
Little
stairs
fresh air.
and is just in his own little world.
Yeah.
Yard work is therapy for me. 10 minutes of leaf blowing gets my mind right.
I threw something at
Yes.
him, and he went on, and
I-
we continued. Okay.
That's funny.
And then 10 minutes later, more leaves.
Oh my gosh, the
It was
leaves.
so much.
the
wind today.
leaves and the
windy
wind are
today. The wind was
insane.
crazy today.
We just picked up for this event we have a big van so we can get everybody around easily, and it's one of those tall vans. It's really tall, so I took that, went to the Enterprise, got that van today, and I was driving it on the interstate. It was just me in it, heading back out to the yard to see you, Vince, and the whole time on the interstate I'm like, it better be windy because I am getting blown all. I can't keep it.
Yeah.
I can't keep it in the center of the
Yeah.
lane, and I'm like, it better be the wind. And when we got off at the exit, there were some flags there, and they were just like,
Yeah. Just
They were
straight up. Just
straight up, but
yeah.
and then they were straight up, and then they would collapse,
yeah.
and then straight up again. Like it was like, oh my gosh.
Mel and I were working on a truck in the yard today, and we were both. I think I was on the driver's side, and she was on the passenger side. and we had the doors open, and it was just the right angle where the wind just moved straight
Yep.
through. So we figured at that point we had to, at least one of us had to have a door closed so we wouldn't get that wind, so we could actually work in the truck without things blowing everywhere. 'Cause the
Oh,
wind was blowing so hard.
so the doors were latched open.
Yes, both doors were completely open all the way and staying open, and there was just a wind tunnel
Yeah.
coming
Ah.
You're talking about
straight
the cab of the
through
truck?
the
Yeah.
cab of the truck.
cab of the
Yes,
truck.
and it was blowing out like our rags that we were using to
Yeah.
clean with, the paper towels. It was just
Yeah.
blowing them out of the truck, so we had to close the door.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything in that tank of a 350 I was driving.
Oh, I bet you didn't. It's nice and low and heavy.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
you might have been blowing in that 2-story tall van, but the F-350 was rock solid.
I have an old, if you could imagine, one of those old square Ford F-350s, a 4-door, got a sleeper cab,
Yep.
or what do you call those cab?
The
The
tank.
crew cab.
No, well, but over the bed is the,
The canopy?
Oh, the
camper?
camper shell.
camper shell over the bed,
Yeah.
but it's 4-wheel drive. It's on huge tires,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're right. You can't feel anything except
No.
for every pebble.
That it did. It definitely
Yeah.
you could feel the bumps.
You feel the
but
bumps.
No wind.
No, and maybe that was part of what threw me off because I drove that to the dealership and didn't feel anything, and then I get in this van and I'm like, what is happening?
Try driving the truck, one of our trucks, around the corner to Carrier in
Oh,
that wind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've done it. But you
Try
know what?
driving one of our trucks down I-80 in that wind.
Yes, in the winter. Let's sprinkle a little. Let's
No,
sprinkle a
thank
little
you.
ice in there.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I'm like, how many of us have done it? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
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 That brings back some memories. Thanks, Vince.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Reminds me of being out in South Dakota learning how to skate.
Learning how to skate in
Yes.
South Dakota. Ice skate
Yeah,
in a truck or
Yes.
on literal
On a
ice
truck.
skates?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
in a truck.
that was
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, that was just
Good times.
great memories.
Good times.
Your truck's not supposed to be at a 45-degree angle going down the road.
No, but it is smooth. I will say this: when you're
Very
going over
smooth.
ice and it's at a
You
45-degree
didn't feel any
angle,
pebbles, did you?
you don't feel any pebbles. The ice really does level things out quite nice.
I just
but,
felt the heat in my butt cheeks.
That's awesome.
I like that Carla's been here. We all have a place to stay that when you
Yes.
come in, and she's been over at the Lukeshire house, and she heard me on a call the other morning, and she's like, I've never heard somebody else like, what your job does. And then we had our little meeting, today that we usually have, and she came downstairs for that too and said it on it. And so it's neat that she gets to see what all of us are doing. So
Yeah.
I really like that.
I can't wait to get Carla in the yard for a week and
There you
so
go.
she sees what we're doing in the yard.
yeah.
Now,
But
the, one,
settlements have to get done, so that can't happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
the one thing from my end, is I don't see what everybody else does. So it's interesting to me to sit in here and hear what you have to say to your people, what you have to say to your people.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that I don't get to hear because I'm behind the scenes. I'm the one that makes sure that you know that you have money to buy another truck.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
And to
So-
make the truck drivers happy on Tuesday morning when they look at their bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Vince, there's actually 3 of us that have not driven a truck. Not
Oh.
2, like you say in your intros.
Well, I do say 3. There's actually 4. There's actually 4.
There are.
I forget about Dad. Yeah, over the
Yeah.
road. And I do tell people, I say, look, the 3 that haven't, or the 2, if I say 2, the 2 that haven't, Mel has been doing this for a long time. She has a CDL. She drives the trucks. She has been around us long enough to understand the stories we talk about. And Delina is your best friend, and she's heard a
Well-
zillion stories, and she's been with us long enough where she knows what we go through as well. Maybe not personal experience, but has dealt with it. So, but that's people don't understand that all of us have this experience, and we understand it. We're not people that have come off the street or come out of MBA school and just start running a trucking company. We have lived the life, especially our founders who started out right where you are, some people that are brand new, and started out doing this and built it from there. So again, understanding what the lifestyle is like as a truck driver.
Absolutely. I mean, it's Eric and our story is showing up at a TA that we were told to go to, Went to the service department. They said, "Oh yeah, here's your keys."
Yeah.
And that was our introduction into trucking.
Yep.
Which you think about what we do now, and it's
Completely
horrifying.
different.
Horrifying.
Completely
Like
different.
there's no way we would do that.
No.
But that's how it was back in
And
those
that's how it
days,
still
and
is for some fleets.
for a lot of fleets.
A lot of fleets,
you
it's still the same way.
Yep.
So.
No, it's very different. We don't roll that way. But even Dad had a CDL, but it was for church. So I was kind of sharing. We were talking in the van today. Do y'all remember, or do y'all have the same experience of like loading up into a 15-passenger van and driving hours away to summer camp?
Sure.
Yes.
So we were talking about that kind of situation. And Melissa, how many? Why did we? Melissa will testify to this. Melissa Lee, my sister, as we like to call her, Stitches. For some reason, we never went to summer camp close, except for Mobile. That would be the only one.
Yeah, that was the closest.
Ever. Glorieta, New Mexico from Louisiana. It's a bit of a drive. Friggin'
Ridgecrest,
North Carolina. The place in Kentucky between the lakes that we did.
Panama City
Beach, Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri.
Because who wants to go to summer camp in Louisiana?
Well,
it's a little warm.
Can I venture a guess why your parents sent you to summer camp so far away?
That's no.
No, because Dad was right along with us.
Because Dad,
Dad
was a designated driver back then, and so he did drive those 15-passenger vans, and we've been again all over the country with him. And you had to get your CDL. So the 15-passenger vans, the old school ones, they had this issue where if you loaded them improperly or something, and you went around a corner, they would flip over. And there was churches left and right that were having kids go to summer camp, and they were totaling out their vans. I don't know if you remember that or not. So the insurance companies basically said, we're not insuring you anymore if you're going to have these vans because y'all don't know how to operate them. And so the church we went to was in that situation where we owned a 15-passenger van and couldn't use it. So they sold the van, and Dad was on the bus committee. And if I'm not mistaken, when it goes over 15 passengers, you had to get a CDL with a passenger endorsement, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And so y'all were trying to get a 15-passenger bus, but none were good, right? Like every time y'all kept looking at it, like a 26-passenger or something like that
It was a 26-passenger what we wound up with.
Yeah. And so you and a couple of the deacons at the church and the youth pastor, obviously, and a couple other people went and y'all got CDLs together, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got the CDL. You went through all the rigmarole to get one, just like we all did. Passenger stuff reminds me a lot of hazmat. So there was like when you went to at crossings, you have to stop, right?
You have to stop, open the door, listen.
Yes.
Continue on.
Yeah. And so you got to experience all that stuff from that angle where we had cargo and hazmat. Only two people don't have CDLs. Like Carly, you don't have CDL, right? And Dillian doesn't either.
But I do have a motorcycle endorsement.
You do? That's true. That's true.
That counts for something, doesn't it?
Does count for
It
something.
does count for something, yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to see Carla make a U-turn on a Hayabusa.
Can you make a U-turn in the box?
I no longer have the Hayabusa.
For those of you who don't know, Hayabusa is fastest production bike you can get, basically.
It's a very large bike, and Carla's all of 5'1".
Yes.
Yes. It was a very fast bike.
Yeah.
Plus, it had NOS on it.
Yeah.
I always forget that part.
She doesn't.
No, she doesn't,
No.
and that's an
No.
important part of it. Yeah.
Did you ever use it?
Not the NOS because it was fast enough without it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I bet.
You'd be surprised how many people will pull up on the side of you, whether it's a car, a bike, a truck, want to race you when you're on that bike. First gear, you're out. You're out the park.
First gear, you've left them there.
They're in the
Dust.
smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever do a wheelie?
No, it was too. I had it too low.
The wheelbase is is a lot longer on a Hayabusa than is a normal bike. So popping a wheelie is possible because it's got enough power, but it's just not smart. It's a lot harder to do.
You wouldn't get up very high.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to do.
It was stretched.
Oh, it was
Oh,
a
dude,
stretch Busa.
It wasn't popping a
Oh my
wheelie.
God, no,
anyway,
it
then.
wasn't. It was a drag racer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't popping a wheelie.
Yeah.
anyway. It was just gonna spin the tires.
Oh, well, that's always fun to watch
Yeah.
too. Smoke the tire until it just explodes.
And kiss everybody bye.
Oh. And that, my friends, is mild-mannered Carla.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
the silent ones, right?
It's the silent ones. It truly
we
is.
worry
Wow.
about.
Be
It
careful.
truly is.
How long have we known her? And I just found this out this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knew?
The less people know about you,
Uh-huh.
the better off you are.
Do we even know your legal name?
I do. And for the right price, I might could sell it.
There you go.
Oh.
There you
No,
go.
I kid. I would
That's
never.
funny.
I would never do that. Well, Kayla, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
You are what I would call the sensible one
Okay.
in this group of insane people.
I am. I am very offended, and I disagree with them. I'm going to call.
Time out.
No offense, Caleb.
Pull up your sleeve.
Yeah,
You're calling her the
um,
sensible one.
yeah,
and she
I'm
looks
like,
like
I don't
she's been
know.
beaten 9 rounds with Mike Tyson by pigs right now.
Okay.
What?
No.
That's not sensible. She gets
She likes-
trampled. I'm
You
just
got
kidding.
you got
I'm
beat up
messing
by
with you.
pigs? Explain.
It's my job to put them on the truck, and they decided they did not want to get on the truck, so they ran me over and just went right back over the top of me. And
So wait, I'm confused.
How many pigs?
I'm
When
confused.
did we start
hang
a
on,
pig
hang on, hang
division?
on. Yeah, I was going to say, Jerry's doing moving. You're moving people in trucks, right? I mean, we went over that a year ago or so, and now we have a truck, a pig moving company also. And
sure.
I don't understand. When do we start moving pigs?
You might have
I
to-
would-
She's
I
the
would-
crazy pig lady.
I went back to my roots. I started with pigs. That's where my career started, and then we went to trucking and stayed there.
So basically, you work for Highfield, and you are our. For those you that don't know Kayla, she's our Panther fleet support. And then, not really in the not evenings. I would say mornings, like right in like super early in the morning. You go and work with a local pig farmer.
Yep. I made
Pig
it-
farmer, the right?
Yep.
Okay.
Usually somewhere between 3 and 5 a.m. is when it starts, and then it's about an hour a load, and you leave. You have somewhere between 2 and 4 loads at a time.
Wow.
How many pigs go on a truck?
170 usually.
And how many came back over you, roughly, before you
150.
got out of the way?
I didn't get out of the way. I stayed on the ground and covered my head.
She'll show you later.
Probably 3.
3
Wow.
pigs?
Yeah.
And
I
how
thought you
big
were gonna-
are these
I thought
pigs?
you were
How
saying
heavy are
like
they?
30 or something.
They're like 280, somewhere
Oh,
between
oh, that's
280
tall.
and
The
300.
small
tall.
ones.
Yeah.
Small
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
They're
Yeah.
just the babies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. When you got up,
They have
did you
little-
look at them and go, "Bad bacon"?
It's hard. It's hard not to get mad sometimes. No, I just said, well, better just go back and get these because if you get mad, it just makes it so much worse.
The other end running forward, like, you okay? Because I mean, it's far.
Yeah.
You just see her kind of get up. You know, I'm like, okay, she's okay. She's getting up.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to switch? You know, you want to come back here? And she's like, no, I'm good.
My point is, you called her the sensible one.
Yes. Well, okay. I don't know what the question was now. It was an hour ago.
I'm okay being the sensible one.
Okay. We've had some people have sent us some information and not information questions, and they've inquired about the mentor program and what all we're doing. I thought, you know what, we're here to celebrate mentors and to work with them and to reinvest some time and resources. And I thought it'd be fun. Why don't we go through a couple of these mentor questions? I'm going to pitch them out there, and then I'm going to let someone volunteer to take it, and it will go from there. And of course, I expect to hear from all of you. The mentor program that we have, what do you think the primary and maybe secondary goal of that program is?
You know, being contractor sourcing or recruiting, however you want to call it, when people ask me, you know, what is the reason for the mentor program, it's to come out here and hit the road running from day one and to maximize your revenue, but not to just go into an industry even though it's trucking and you may be from trucking, but it's expediting, completely different animal of trucking. But it's to come out here and the mentors are sharing peer-to-peer knowledge. These are teams that want to pay it forward. And from day one, from as soon as Vince or Mel gives you keys and they leave the truck and walk away, call those mentors. They're going to know everything about everything. And if they don't, they'll point you in the right direction, either on the Highfield staff phone tree or calling Panther and who you should talk to, or FedEx and who you should talk to. But it's really to just lessen the anxiety of something new. And if you lean into that, the transition into this new job or career that you're taking on will just be minimalized. And that's what I feel. It just really, these people want to share their knowledge. Why not take advantage of that?
I actually, when my husband and I came on in 2019, Kelly and Jimmy were not our mentors, but they were here in Columbus when we picked up our truck. We had our CDLs for 1 month. We went to school in Southern California. We got our CDLs. We had our hard copies. Jerry was actually our mentor. So we started driving for FedEx Custom Critical, but I didn't know anything about trucking or other than, what I had to pass to take my test, what I had done behind the wheel, and just things at that time that you saw on YouTube, but I had never done it before. Did not know even, we will joke sometimes about how some people don't know how to fuel a truck. Well, hello. I didn't know there were 2 fuel tanks on the truck. I didn't know that if you turn off the driver's side one before your passenger's one is done,
Learn that mistake the hard way.
You got to start all over again. All of those things that, like Vince was saying, most of us here have driven a truck. Don't let that intimidate you, because some of us here started from ground zero and learned from our mentors, from Jerry, from Dawn, from Jimmy and Kelly. The people that had been doing this before us. And I don't know how we would have made it, but we did with their help. And it's invaluable. And I think that's what makes Highfield so special, is that Patrick and Eric were there. They built it on that premise of wanting to be able to provide something for people who had no experience in the business to be successful right out of the gate, because there's not a learning curve if you use your mentors.
Yes.
It's flat. There's no curve, because they are going to tell you what you need to know to be successful. And yes, there's ups and downs, but there's ups and downs in any new career. This is your business. This is your new life. You're not an employee. This is you on your own making decisions. And if you don't take their advice, you're just doing yourself a disservice. To the success of your business.
I think what a lot of experienced drivers forget is where they came from. And there was a time in their career where they didn't know how to fuel either, and when Mel and I are doing our orientations in the yard and showing you the truck, I try my hardest to remember that there are people the people I'm talking to sometimes have zero experience and don't know what an APU is. They have no idea how to fuel a truck. They don't know anything about it except, like you said, how what they learned in truck driving school, which is a far cry from what you need to know to operate a truck, let alone operate a truck and your business. We had mentees that had no idea how to fuel a truck, and they were embarrassed to ask the question. But don't be embarrassed, because, again, we were all there at some point. And if you start with a mega carrier, your trainer hopefully will show you that. But coming on board with us as a contractor, you may not know that stuff. So you ask your mentors those questions, and your mentors help you. And a lot of times we had experiences where we had a mentor team call us one time, and they debated for half an hour, 45 minutes on something and whether they should call us or not. And they called, and we had experienced the exact same problem, and were able to answer their question in 15 seconds, because we had been there and done that. So it's a great way to learn those things. Both of those examples are sitting in this room right now.
Well, I love what you said. I'm gonna try and get us a little bit more back on track. But
Oh,
you did say the question was the primary goal and secondary goals. And Dina, you said it. You said exactly it. The purpose of the mentor program when we started it was that you come out and you're successful from day one.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
is that was that is
Sure.
that was and still is the goal, because in this industry that's not normal. You typically come out and they tell you you have 3 months to figure it out. So for the first 90 days, everybody's expecting you to make little money, learn the freight lanes, learn how to negotiate, learn all that stuff on your own, and you're going to have horrible pet settlements for those first several weeks, the several months, and eventually you'll get it. And we were like, that's crap. There's got to be a better way. And that's kind of how we decided to go this route and why it was successful.
From my point of view, I only see the settlement sides of it.
Yes.
But starting with this and looking at it and having drivers and seeing what they're doing on there, and then starting these mentor programs, it got to, I get a settlement and these teams have only been here 2 or 3 weeks, and I called Kelly and I said, Kelly, is there something wrong with this settlement? Because they making way more than when most people who start who don't have the mentor programming. So there's definitely a difference in their settlements that I see on my end when they're listening to their mentors.
Well, and that's huge. That you're dead on right with that. Like, it is a huge income difference. But again, it's not forced. We don't make people do it. But
No.
But it is. The proof is right there.
Everybody said great stuff. The only thing I would piggyback on is that don't discount how much the mentors want to help.
Mm-hmm.
So everything everybody just said, but there's another layer on it, is that these people really do care about helping, or they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. A lot of them in the beginning, it's a lot of calls or whatever it is, their main goal. And quite frankly, I think they get emotionally involved in it sometimes. And I
Sure we
think
do.
when they have mentors or mentees who may be afraid to call them, like Vince was referring to, they don't understand. They're like, we're just here to help. So don't discount that they're invested as well, the people who are helping. So that's just another layer on top of everything that they're there to do. We talked about what the drivers will get from it, but the mentors get reward from that too. And I think they really enjoy it.
How are mentors and mentees matched?
Well, we send out, when you get your welcome letter from Highfield, once you've been approved by the carrier, and it's time for you to kind of start your onboarding process with Highfield as the fleet owner. You get your letter from them, from one of the girls, Melissa or Delina sends that out, introducing all of us to you and what our roles are. And then you have paperwork that you have to do online, things you have to fill out. And we have a questionnaire, and that questionnaire, we have revised it many times. We revise it as often as needed to try to get the information from new teams about you, about your experience, about what your needs are, about what your desires are. Do you smoke? Do you have a pet on the truck? All these different things that will help your mentors ascertain what kind of information they need to give you and how they need to guide you. The pairing of that has several layers. One is we look at what maybe your side interests are. I look at what your side interests are. If you ride motorcycles, and I know that we have a mentor team that loves to ride motorcycles, there's common ground there. So you're kind of starting out with some common interests, some things. Maybe you're veterans, maybe you're grandparents, maybe you're in your 20s, and we've had some young mentors who have been very successful. And so it just depends on how much information we can get from you in that questionnaire. Helps me to decide how to pair you potentially with the best possible mentor team. All of our mentors are good at what they do, and that's why they are doing what they're doing. But it's another layer of a personal connection, building a family
Yeah.
building a relationship beyond just trying to give you information on how to make money. We are Highfield family. And so we try to put that together.
Speaking of the questionnaire, it's kind of hand tailored from all of our mentors. We asked our mentors, like, what information do you guys want to know about your team before you talk to them for the very first time? And so we gave all the mentors an opportunity to put questions in, and we put them together, and that formed the questionnaire and helps Dina pair them together. So if you ever wonder where the questionnaire comes from, that would be it.
And it's really cool too, because that's one thing we do revise that. We go through, we look at it, we talk to the mentors. So, and they, they say, here's the questionnaire we want, and it's 148 questions. And so we pair that down and we break it down into what it is now. And then in a year or two, we relook at that questionnaire and go, does this still make sense? And a lot of times over the course of that much time, what we see and the things that we realize, hey, we could phrase this different, we could ask this different. And also the mentors go, we asked you to ask this question, but really doesn't help us as much as maybe if we asked this. So we do revise that as well, right? Like I've seen that over many times.
Absolutely.
Of how we ask and things we do. So you may come in and your questionnaire looks different than someone who's been with us for 3 or 4 years. But it's still to get the same thing, and it's to help us pair you with the best person, find common ground. Regional stuff has happened to know. We have had some like teams that live in Texas, and they're like, hey, let's pair you with a mentor team from Texas because they're going to be able to tell you how to get home easier, things like that. So sometimes that plays into account. And then also, we do protect our mentors. So we do try our hardest to keep a certain number of teams with our mentors and not exceed that. Doesn't always happen, but we do that as well. So, we're looking after both the team and the mentors. And sometimes that is a large part of the driving factor as well. Now, if it's like, oh man, this guy's got, or this team rather has our limit, but this person, this team would be a perfect candidate to work with them, then sometimes we'll talk to the team and kind of massage that out a little bit, right? Yeah, and look at it because sometimes it's like, yeah, I've got a team that's been with me for a while that really is about to graduate on. So taking on a new team is not a big deal. But that does lead me into our next question. How long does a mentorship period last? Typically last?
So the mentorship program is a 6-month commitment.
Okay.
From a team. You will build a rapport and lasting relationships with these mentors. You will continue that on well beyond that 6 months, I'm sure. But the actual program itself is 6 months.
Cool. And if a team gets to that 6 months and they're like, we really want to stay a little bit longer, like, can we just get a little extension? How is that handled?
It rolls over to month to month.
Yeah, and we have had that scenario where they just feel like they need a little bit more, like, oh my gosh, we're really getting out of the mentor program. Okay, I need 1 more month to really get my act together and make sure that I understand it. Not that anybody's going anywhere, because we are all still here. Your mentors will never not take your call. It's just more of a formality, so to speak. But it really is putting you in literally the driver's seat and venturing out on your own. But we also have a reboot program. I've called it a reboot program. I've called it continuing education, where some of our drivers, when they've been out on their own, so to speak, for 6 months or a year, will go like, I don't feel like I know anything anymore. Like I feel like I'm not catching on freight. Like I don't know how the freight's moving. And they come back into the mentor program for a month. It's just to kind of reboot them. They're doing things all the time. They're constantly on top of the freight. They know what's going on. And it's not hard to kind of go by the wayside of that sometimes. I think when you've been out for a year, if you don't have that constant, if you don't stay in constant contact and you are kind of doing your own thing and your business is successful, but maybe not as much as you want it to be, we reboot you, we put you back in the program, give you a little kickstart and refresh, because freight changes with the seasons. It changes every year. So just getting a refresher course. So we're always here to help.
And that's
Always.
that 6-month commitment, like y'all talked about, that really is a lot of it is because our freight is seasonal. And so if you go in the mentor program 2 months in, you're like, I'm good, I got it, which a lot of teams do. When that freight, because it is seasonal, changes. So, there's always freight. It's just where is the freight? When is certain states, when are they popping? When are they dead? So being able to like see the signs and reposition yourself to work a different segment of business or different freight lanes or different negotiation situations because it's a little different right now, and then knowing when to pivot back or to a third thing. And so the 6 months gives you a chance to go through, build some confidence, then let the natural seasonality happen to where the team goes, whoa, this isn't working like it used to work. What's going on? And you have that mentor there to go like, yep, you're right. It's not working like it used to work. It's going to be like this for a little while. And then when we can get back to that, we will go back to that. Or sometimes this is better. Like we love this, it's a roller coaster, right? We love that cresting the hill and that sudden excitement of going down the hill. But climbing back up the hill is kind of boring, and so freight kind of does that. Sometimes it's very busy and fun, and sometimes it's not busy. So you have to hunt for the freight and getting those skills to hunt for it and know where to go. I think that is the main purpose of the 6 month. And Kelly kind of was talking about this a little bit, but they do want to know what kind of qualifications or experience does a team need to become a mentor? Like, what would be the things that we're looking for out of a mentor?
I would say from my perspective, to become a mentor, you need to show that you have that leadership skill, because there are some leadership skills involved with that. You have to be able to show that you have the success behind you as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of hard to teach someone else whenever you're not grasping it yourself. And whenever you have proven those along the way, then I'm sure Dina would reach out to you at that point, and have a conversation with you. But I would say the most important thing is just having the ability to teach someone. Not everybody's a teacher, I guess is what I'm getting at. There's multiple ways of teaching someone how to do something, and everyone has a different way of teaching. But you have to have the compassion, you have to have the drive, you have to have the ability to get your point across to someone, because not everyone's going to learn the same way.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you have to be able to change your way of thinking and put yourself in their shoes and be that person to, okay, they're not getting it this way. Let's switch gears and do this and hopefully get the point across.
And there's so many different walks of life coming into trucking. It's just not your small community from home, in my opinion.
I love, I had the opportunity at the beginning of this year, and those of you that listen to the podcast, y'all know, but I had the ability to go down and do Disney's Leadership Institute, right? And they talked about managers and leadership and how in America we kind of twist those two together. If you're a leader, you're a manager, you're a leader, right? And they talked about how a leader is not someone who is appointed to be in a position to lead. A leader is someone who has the whatever it takes where people want to follow,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so you can be a great leader and not be a manager. You can be a manager and be a terrible leader. So I think that's one thing our mentors do really well is they are true leaders in the sense that the people that they work with want to get their advice. They want to know what they're talking about, right? And so to be a good leader, you have to be able to reach people on all those levels like you talked about, right? And then people person is what I always describe it
Sure.
as. You have to be able to
Sure.
talk to anybody, whether or not you have a similar background or not. Because sometimes you're not going to have a similar background. And so how do you build on me and this person don't see eye to eye, and we like not in a bad way, but we come from two different walks of life.
Right.
We live in different parts of the
Sure.
country. We have different values and belief systems. So then how do we get together and work together? And that's one thing I love that our mentors do. And it's funny because if you talk to any of our mentee teams, they will typically tell you, I have the best mentor in the company. And it doesn't matter who it is.
No,
They all feel that
that's how
way
they feel.
because those people are so good at being those natural leaders. And, we do have a nice situation where we can cherry pick our mentors. And it is an invite only type situation. And the people we have doing it are just fantastic. Every single one of them are. And they do ask one more thing, which is, do the mentors go through additional training? And it's like, well, kinda. I think it's fitting because that's what we're here this week for,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So today, if you're a mentor and you're listening to this before you get at the hotel before you come see us all, part of a large chunk of what we're doing today is to talk about being a mentor and to go through and have some group sessions where we're going to learn and get a chance to kind of wrap our head around some concepts and some things that are out there. We're also going to have a what's the phrase I'm looking for that is politically correct? We are going to have a grumbling and complaining session where a breakout session where we're going to be there and we're going to take back your comments and your feedback, right? Because it's not one way, it's both ways.
It's both ways. Yeah.
So we are going to sit there and get berated. We also do monthly conference calls.
Yeah, we do conference calls with each carrier, the mentors for each carrier.
Yep. And so that's a chance for them to give us information back, but also for us to give them and reinvest. And then there's a lot of, like, I know Kayla and Kelly can really speak to this, but the mentors are probably some of your most frequently talked to people on the phone, if I would imagine.
I just want to piggyback too on what Jerry was saying, and the other part of the answer of that question is, how do we choose our mentors? It's not just their financial success, their truck revenues. It is, how are you communicating with fleet support? How are you communicating with Kelly? How are you communicating with Kayla? How do you communicate with our maintenance department when you call into Don, Jerry, and now Eric? How do you interact with them? Are you taking care of your truck? Are you calling maintenance when you, I know with the FedEx side, when you call in and you have something due on your truck, it says you have paperwork due. Are you listening to that message and going, okay, what do I have to do? Do I have to get a DOT inspection? Do I need my medical card updated? Do I have to get something serviced on the truck? So it's that, it really, our mentors, it's not just that peer-to-peer in how to run the freight and how to make money running freight. They are the first person you call if something happens with the truck. They're the first person you call if you're, I don't know, you're being held up at the shipper or something goes awry. It's like they are your first point of contact. If you need, then they will say, okay, you need to call the carrier. You need to call Jimmy. You need to call maintenance. You need to call Kelly. You need to call Kayla. And so they're kind of that buffer to direct you in the right direction until you learn that yourself, until that becomes natural to you. But it's how our mentors are all good communicators with our staff. And we all have that open discussion with them. And so that's the other half of not just the revenue side, but it's how are you communicating and how do you interact with the staff.
Also, to piggyback on her, what she said, it's not just, again, everything that you guys said is true. But one of the major factors to finding the good mentors when they check all of those boxes is their willingness. Their willingness to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning if a team calls them. Their willingness to stay on the phone for 30 minutes to go through and explain something repeatedly to multiple teams. Again, when I touched on it earlier and said that they're invested in it, I mean that in every way possible, because they are available and their willingness to be available 24/7 when we ask them to be mentors, because we tell them that's just the first thing. So one of those two drivers, that's a team that's mentoring you, is willing to do that. So when we say they expect you to call them and they want you to call them, they mean it.
Yeah.
They're willing to be woke up anytime, day or night, or wherever's going on. Somebody's going to answer that phone as best they can because they want to make you successful.
Sure.
So, in a nutshell, a one-liner, like what is the most important thing that the mentors want? To make you successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the flip side of that is, what's the number one complaint we get from the mentors about their mentees?
That they're not calling.
They're not calling.
That they're not calling.
And
we
they
do get
don't
hurt.
understand why.
Yeah.
Yep.
It hurts our
It hurts,
feelings.
yeah.
It does.
It does.
We're available. And we want you to be. You know, our mentors
Yeah.
Sure.
want you to be successful. I
Sure.
mean, that's what they are. That's why they have almost volunteered all of this time to help you be successful. And we get the call. They never call me. I don't know what, like, why don't they ever call
What
me?
did I do? Did they
What
not
did I
like me?
do?
Yes.
You
I mean,
know,
all of
are
the
they
above.
still driving for us? It really is. It's
Fear-
they're vested.
Yes,
They are
and
vested.
fear. The only thing fear does in this career, from being scared to ask questions, is hurt you. And I know it sounds that way, and it's easy to say because we've all been there. Again, we've all been there, with a couple of exceptions. But either way, they still know about it. So the bottom line is, if you're gonna make the commitment to come out here and you're gonna walk away from your family and your home and everything and leave it to go over the road and be out here and do all of this, take advantage of everything that's given to you because it's a huge commitment. And if you let fear keep you from calling or asking a question, no one can help you after the fact.
Sure,
So
it's too
you
late.
got to pick that phone up and say something now because, again, that's the sole purpose of why everybody is sitting here.
Yep.
Because we want to be successful. We create, or everyone's created everything to try to make everyone successful. So again, it's just a domino effect. You're successful, we're successful, everybody's successful.
Yep. And I love what you said too about the the willingness rather of the mentee, our mentor, to do it. There are people, teams that are driving with Highfield for Panther and FedEx that are great money making teams. They are natural leaders. They have great personal skills, and they have said no.
100%.
We don't want to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and take a phone call, and
that's okay.
And that's fine. If it's not
love
for you, it's not for you. So that being said, none of our mentors are here against their will. Like, it's not like, hey, you're a great. It's not like, hey, you're a great team, so now you're going to be a mentor. It is an invite thing. We do spend a lot of time. It's almost like, and I've described it this way. Described this before when we've had come up with like personnel or any kind of interesting challenge of, let's try to talk the person out of it. If we pitch them what it is, and then we try and talk them out of it, and they still want to do it, then it's probably a good direction to
probably is a
go.
good fit,
And so we do. And we say, hey, we'd like you to be a mentor. There is a discussion of, here's all the reasons why you don't want to do it. And then if you're still interested in it,
Yeah.
let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember when we first started, like I said, Jimmy and Kelly were right here, so they literally taught me how to fuel the truck. But Jerry, Jerry may or may not remember this. I can't tell you how many times I had to call Jerry to program. Say it with me, to program the data logger.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times. Every time we had a refrigerated load, I had to call Jerry, or my husband did. How do you program the data logger?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's just there's steps to you press the green button, you press the yellow button, But we just could not, like. And James asked him one time.
James, actually, it was like probably 3:30 in the morning, and he asked me. He was like, "Do you just do this by memory?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you woke me up. I'm laying in bed. I'm literally doing it from memory."
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm not walking through it with you, but
Yeah.
but never fail. Like, we could, like, every time, like, seriously, a day and a half later, when we'd get another load,
You do it
like,
again.
Jerry,
Yeah.
but it was like that until we figured it out
Sure.
ourselves. And it could have been 3 days, but it felt like 3 months that we were doing that. So that's what the mentoring is about.
Right.
That's the heart of our mentors.
Melissa and I would have our mentees send pictures of their Panther POD, their proof of delivery, before they submitted them to Panther, so we can make sure they were filled out correctly and they'd get paid on time. Because if they had things missing, they wouldn't get paid. So you walk them through those things, all those steps. You might be in trucking for 15 years, but not with Panther.
Yeah.
And not understand Panther's ways, and that's what we were there to help with.
That's a big advantage too, because if a new person were to do it incorrectly and not know they messed up on
Sure.
it, Panther's not going to call them and say, "You messed up on this. I need you to resubmit it."
Right. It
And
might
when
just
it
don't.
comes out to
time.
settlements,
They just
Yeah.
don't get it.
settlement gets the complaint when I'm not getting paid.
Right.
Where's
Yeah.
my pay? And
Yep.
well,
Well,
now the Panther
Someone has to
mentor has
research
to
it.
go find out what was wrong
Yeah.
and get you to redo it.
Well, here's a question for y'all, real quick. Show of hands. Who was a mentor? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people in this room were mentors.
I was like a half mentor because Kelly did most of the work.
I believe it. Well, I
She
counted,
likes to talk a lot.
I counted you and Don as one person.
No, this one wasn't even half. This one wasn't even a quarter.
He was supporting you in the back office. What feedback have you received from former mentees and mentors about the impact of our program?
I hear from former mentees that are now mentors or not all the time how the program helped them be successful. I mentioned pictures of PODs and people getting paid, and then they didn't send the pictures of PODs and they wouldn't get paid. Well, okay, now I understand why you were doing that. Or understanding when they became mentors, how the questions that they thought were not worthy of calling us, how prevalent those questions were. People just didn't have that experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I hear lifelong friendships are made out of a lot of mentor-mentee partnerships. They're taking vacations together when they have time
I
off,
see that.
or
Meeting up at
baby
campgrounds.
showers and a wedding here,
Sure.
inviting us here. But I see something bigger than just something over the phone.
I also hear mentors, like mentees obviously say a lot of stuff. I hear mentors talking about it's re-engaged them and made them excited about the industry again.
Oh, sure. Oh,
I've heard that from several mentors throughout the years. Has the program shown an effect on driver retention?
I certainly think so.
I certainly think so too. I'm surprised it's quiet. No,
I think the teams that come in and grab a hold of the mentor program and use it as it was truly designed to be used last much longer. They're happier.
yes.
If you're making the money that you came out to make, it makes more sense that you would be happier. Their transition overall is just easier when they're making those 10 phone calls a day for the first week. We feel like we're bugging them, but we also need to learn this information. I think every step of a new job is so much easier and better when they truly use the mentor program. And we certainly see the difference in everything that I do, fleet support, and you as well. So it's a noticeable difference.
Yeah, and you said the whole point about the mentorship, certainly the ones that utilize it, right? So, again, when a team does get into a Highfield truck, they have the option mentor, no mentor. It's not required. And even once they accept a mentor, or if a team does accept a mentor, rather, we do see some people who get into it and it's not for them. They don't really want to call their mentor. They don't want to talk. They really want to figure it out on their own. When that happens, that's when Carla explained earlier, you usually see a huge difference in their settlements. You do see some frustration build. It's not what they thought it would be because they don't want to utilize that mentor program. And so it's frustrating, something we deal with. It's something we've talked about before on here. We don't force you to do it. It is completely a la carte, your choice. Yeah, that does happen from time to time. A lot of our teams don't. A lot of our teams do use the mentor program, and they're very successful. But it's not always the case.
Yeah, I'll 100% agree and back what Kayla said. I will say this, and it may sound brutally honest, but the bottom line is a team that comes in and uses the mentor program, like Kayla said, you may be calling 5-10 times a day. It's not always going to be that way, and the mentors expect that. They did it. That's why they're successful. That's why they're mentors.
Sure.
That's why the program works.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the circle of life, so to speak, to make successful teams. So again, and I see it all the time, the teams that do not embrace the mentor program and call and use and ask the questions, significantly different income.
They don't last.
Or they move
or
along.
they don't last.
Yeah, they move
It's
along.
mostly that they don't last.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't making money and you
Yeah.
graduate or you get out of the mentor program at the 6-month mark, but you haven't used your mentors, you're not making
No.
Yeah.
the money. I mean, our statistics show about a 3-month. If you are not using the mentor program, as Kayla said, as intended, utilizing your mentors all the time, 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
Absolutely. And it's funny.
You don't know what you don't know. You gotta ask. It's the best way to learn it. Otherwise, you're spinning your tires and wasting time trying to figure it out on your own when you could have had it.
Absolutely.
Literally.
Just
Literally
makes
spinning your
sense
tires.
to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Like on my side, when I see people on there, I can tell because you're not in the truck 24/7 all month long. There's some time that you're off the truck, but the mentor will show you how to work it where you're still getting paid on that time
Yeah.
that you're off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And-
Constant flow of money.
Absolutely, and that's it's hugely important to what we do because you're right. You go home for a week, and if you lose, most of us don't really want to take a $0 settlement. But that can happen if you're not careful. And we do have constant communication with our mentors. I think that's one thing that we can't stress enough is that like we hear. So when a team does not utilize their mentor, or they don't call, or they don't reach out to the team, we know about it pretty early on. And again, we don't force anybody to use the program. It's their choice. They're independent. They can do whatever they want. But we do know it and see it. And so when we do see that, we do follow the trend, and not always, but a lot of times it goes to a bad place.
I was going to say something funny too. You know, been the one that's been saying about how the mentors feel that way too. I'm not going to lie. I can tell you as fleet support, Kayla and I too, when we see a team struggling and we know they're not talking to their mentor, it's heartbreaking for us too.
Yeah, it's super
because
frustrating.
we just desperately want to pick the phones up and go, please, because you could do, you know what I mean? And it's just hard. So, I can't push this program enough. I really can't. Again, it made me successful.
Doesn't say.
Made everybody sitting here successful that raised their hands and said they were mentors. They also used the mentor program.
You'd be a fool not to come in and use it.
What made me more successful, made us more successful, when we were mentors, we learned a lot from our mentees. Because someone said earlier, we all have different styles, from different walks of life. We have different needs. So when your mentees come in and their goals are different than yours, but you can teach to their goals.
That's true.
And then learn from the way they're running their business to help improve your business, where it fits your goals. And I'm going to be real specific here. Melissa and I, we didn't run crazy hard. We enjoyed ourselves. We made good money, but we didn't run crazy hard. When we took on Eric and Kayla as mentees, they came out, they were super focused, they ran like scalded dogs, and they were very successful. But they or mad pigs, exactly, or mad pigs. They came out and were successful, and they listened to what Melissa and I had to share with them, and they made it their own, and we learned from them. And then when they became mentors, they taught their mentees. They shared with their mentees their way of running their business. And then they learned also and this is from conversations I've had with Kayla and Eric over the years, they learned as well from their mentees different ways of doing things that made them more successful. So as mentors, it's a two-way street.
Absolutely.
Yes, I have the experience that I'm going to share with you, but I'm also going to listen to what you are doing and learn from that. And I might be able to take that information and share with other mentees or share with other mentors too, because their experience could be different than mine. And now I'm learning from them and sharing that information with other mentors and mentees. So it certainly is a two-way street.
Well, we also joke about, Eric and I being the original mentors, right? Because like when we started the company, we had 7 or 8 trucks, whatever it was. It was just talking to me. There was nothing else, right? And it was one of my teams that I was working with that challenged me to think critically about what we were doing, because we had ideas on, here's some general parameters to be successful, right? And then tightening up, kind of giving examples of like, okay, well, you did this, but here's kind of what I would have done. Or my favorite question back in the day was, so I see you took this load. What were you thinking? But I would tell them, like, anytime I ask what you were thinking, that's not a bad thing. I may be asking you what were you thinking, and it's a great load.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to know your thought process. I had teams that taught me to sharpen my skill set, because there was a lot of what Eric and I were doing driving the truck was kind of by the seat of our pants. We were decent and good money makers, but if I had to write it down on paper, I don't know that I could explain to you. Being challenged to get to that point. And I think most of our mentors are at that point. They will tell you, they do have, I'm not going to say formulas, but I will say reasons behind what they do. That is explainable and teachable. And so it's super beneficial. It's not just, well, I have a gut feeling.
It's a technique.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, because not all questions have a yes or no answer flat out or formulated. Yeah, negotiation, the ability to negotiate changes a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, yes or no, should I go to Montana or Wyoming? Flat out, no. But you can make it worth it. It is possible to make it worth it.
Yep.
There's a lot of networking behind the program too that maybe our teams don't see. The mentors are in their own chat. So if there's ever a time that the mentors don't have a question, they can throw it in that chat, and you might be getting advice from 10 different people, but you don't necessarily know. Or if they're weighing in on a decision, unless you are a mentor's very first team, there's 10 different styles going into it.
Yes.
Exactly what you said. These mentors learn from each other. They learn from their teams. They've been mentored. Now they're mentoring. They might have changed their style. There's so many people and pieces of puzzles that they've put together to be where they are, that it's not just like a one track, this size fits all.
You got to understand the thought process behind it to understand the load. I know when Jimmy and I were mentors, again, it's like, I'm going to give you my advice. We're under a time crunch here, so here's what I would do. You don't have to do that, but here's what I would do if we had time. But let me tell you why. It's not just here's what to do. That should never be the way it is. But you got to understand, because then the rationale behind it's going to help you make decisions in the future. So you but it's a chess game. You got to be thinking multiple steps ahead. And these guys have done that. Again, that's why it's just so valuable. And we appreciate them so much.
We do. And they're great with disruption. They're great with, hey, this load just canceled. So this perfect plan, this house of cards I just built, just blew over. Because this one load canceled. So how do I pivot quickly and economically? Hey, the truck just broke down, Jimmy. What do I, and I had this great load lined up. Well, a mentor can get there and can look at that situation and go like, okay, first off, your new team, here's what you need to know. Trucks break down all the time. All the money that we tell a team coming into this business, this is averages of what we see across the board. All those trucks broke down. You know what I mean? Like, none of this we're not giving perfect world.
No.
We're not giving, if everything goes right, numbers. We're not inflating things to this is theoretically possible, but not literal possible.
We're giving real world numbers.
We're giving real world numbers. You're getting canceled loads in those numbers. You're getting truck breakdowns in those numbers. You're getting slow seasons of the year, busy seasons of the year. You're getting all that data, right? So a mentor can look at that situation and go like, I understand this is a panic and this is frustrating, but it's not the end of the world, because that's already been factored into the equation. So here's how we pull ourselves out of that situation and we roll on. Right. And so I do think there's huge benefit in that. And also sometimes it's like I think it was said earlier, my truck broke down and I'm on my way to pick up a load and I got to be there an hour. What do I do? Like, you do get that, like, especially if it's a new team, you get that like, oh dear, I don't know what to do. I'm confused. Your mentor is there to step aside or go along with you and go like, all right, we're going to reach out to Jimmy, let him know there's a problem. then or I say Jimmy because it's been Jimmy for so long, but now you reach out to maintenance, let them know there's a problem, and then we're going to talk to your carrier, let them know there's a problem. Once you find out, as a mentor, sometimes they find out what the problem is, and they're like, okay, you can roll with this. This is not a life or death problem. This is not a safety critical issue. We can get that finished or fixed once we get off the road. Or, so there are some things that can kind of pivot and help and guide you through things to make it a smoother transition. And sometimes it is just like you need to call Jimmy and call maintenance and let them know you're going to need a tow truck, most likely. So they're going to tow you somewhere. You're going to be down for 2 or 3 days because we know what that issue is, and it takes 2 or 3 days sometimes to get through it. Your carrier is going to give that load to someone else, right? And that's fine because that's already been built into the equation.
Right.
We go through the same thing. You're going to go through that same thing, and it's going to be fine. There are those, there is some idea behind like, well, they run great trucks, so then there's never going to be breakdowns. And it's like, that doesn't work. Every single truck that's ever graced this planet breaks down. It's just what it is. It's how you respond to that and how you react to that. And I think, one thing we do, Jimmy got to help me out on this one. When we put people up in hotels, we don't put them in Motel 6s, right? Like,
no.
That we don't do the CLC dirt cheap.
No,
lodge.
we are very generous in where we put people and the type of hotel we put them in. And I think that goes back to when you and Eric first started, and I'm sure you had to stay in a hotel that you were paying for yourself.
Yeah.
We stayed in hotels. It's part of it. You're going to be put in a hotel every now and then when a breakdown situation requires it. We don't look at, we're going to put you in the cheapest hotel we can find just for the bottom line of the company. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be safe. We've all been there before. Nobody wants to be in a seedy hotel. We do our best to put you in a comfortable place to make it as easy as possible on you, because when that breakdown happens, and it will happen, people have a tendency to dwell on that and have anxiety about it and focus on that, just not unlike an accident situation. I tell people the biggest thing when you're in an accident is learn from it, but don't dwell on it. You cannot go down the road after the accident situation focusing on what just happened.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in a bad spot. If you're just focusing on the bad part of a breakdown, you're not going to see the big picture of let's work the problem, we'll get the truck back, we'll make it back up down the road.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times Kelly and I were broke down where the breakdown situation almost put us in a better position because it made us work that much harder for the next little bit to make up for the money we just lost for being down for 3 days.
Yep.
And the mentors have all been there. The mentors have all broken down. And I'm going to give props to the mentors right now because it's not the mentor's job to diagnose or troubleshoot maintenance and repair issues. That's not their job. We don't ask them to do it. We don't require them to do it. But a lot of them do it because they had been there.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how much time and effort they've saved off of the maintenance department by simply telling drivers, hey, do this, try this. The APU's not working. Hit the reset button on the breaker. And various things that they have gone through before that they will tell the drivers to get them back up and running in quick fashion, and we don't even know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And even though, like I said, we appreciate that because it takes a little load off us and helps the driver stay on the road, which is the bottom line.
In ops, we tell our teams, our new contractors, your first point of contact is going to be your mentors.
Yes.
Because a lot of times they can help you resolve issues right now versus talking to the carrier, can't help you at all sometimes on these things, or talking to maintenance. Reach out to your mentors. And if it's an issue that they can't resolve, they'll point you towards maintenance. And until you get to the point where you understand that this is going to be a maintenance call because you've dealt with it before or you understand the severity of it, but your mentors will be your first point of contact. So those mentors, a lot of times, they have dealt with these things. They know where the reset button is on a carrier APU, can help you with that. They know where your breaker panel is. They can help you get to your breaker panel, even though we show them that. We show them a lot and they forget. Yeah. So we try and point them towards their mentors first. It doesn't always work, but that's what we try and work with them.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times your mentor can kind of help you figure out what urgency is.
Sure.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, one of my duals is flat on my truck. There's 8 tires back there. One of them's flat. I think I could probably make my delivery. Well, no, you can't. Like it's a safety critical function of the truck.
Yeah.
So the mentor will help you. But the good news is we can probably get a roadside out to you.
Yeah.
Or, oh, you're in a Love's parking lot? Well, they've got a tire care center.
Right
Let's get them
there.
over there and
Yeah.
let's get that tire fixed real quick.
Yep.
Your mentor can help talk you through that kind of stuff. Or, hey, my APU died. I don't know if I can finish this load. Well, they can explain maybe that's not the most critical
Sure.
thing. Let's get the load delivered and then get you to a shop. And the cool thing is they know that if you're 2 days out from making your delivery because it's a long cross-country load, we know that maintenance can go ahead and set up a generator shop ready to look at it.
Yeah.
So that when you get there, you're not kind of starting from scratch. You're already kind of cutting the line. Yeah.
Just another reason to use the mentor program.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. So real quick, we got to keep going on. How does the company gather feedback on the mentor program to identify areas for improvement? Which I think is fitting for today, but
Well, we talk to the mentors.
Yes.
Find out what kind of communication they're having with their mentees. And as a result of, as we said, we change things all the time, questionnaires, processes and things that we're doing. Our fleet support and our recruiters Delina and Buttermilk have implemented periodic communications with all of our teams after they come on board.
Yes.
Kind of a handoff and then a follow-up. And so we get information, they get information from the teams. I will call if there's an issue I talk to, good or bad. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of communication outside of the mentors, outside of maintenance, outside of Vince, outside of talking with Patrick or Eric, 5 other points of communication, which to a new team could be a little overwhelming.
Yes.
So sometimes like, who am I talking to and what's your role in the company and that kind of a thing. We try to streamline it, but we've made these processes. So, and then when it gets through, as you're going through the mentor program, there's times of communication specifically that I have set up, but then also a graduation at that 6-month mark. I send out a questionnaire like, how was the mentor program for you? I just sent out 2 today. Like, you're getting ready to graduate out of the mentor program. How was your communication with your mentors? Just ask some basic questions to try to get feedback. Do I generally get that feedback? No.
Yeah.
I don't. So it's real hard sometimes to make adjustments and improvements going forward when we don't get the feedback that we ask for. That's the hard part.
Absolutely. No one likes to fill out surveys.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things we have to get that information back. But we have done things like we have implemented monthly. We did at the beginning of this year. We implemented monthly phone calls with our entire mentor group. 2 different calls every month. Once with because we do carrier specific, so that we can actually dive into carrier specific issues. Because the way they mentor are different. If a mentor at Panther decided they were going to go to FedEx, or a FedEx mentor decided they were going to go to Panther, they would no longer be mentors.
They would have to be mentored.
They would have to be mentored because they operate so differently. So we do that. We, like you said, everybody has your 5 points of contact. They do the follow-up calls with the teams as well once they've come on board. And so we do have lots of areas there where people can get that feedback to us, and they do, and we do make changes periodically. They also, I've had this happen a few times where people are like, we don't know how to get a hold of Patrick. Everybody, when they come on board, gets an email that has my contact information on it. Eric's as well. So I think it always makes me chuckle when people are like, well, Patrick's in his ivory tower and we don't know how to get a hold of him. And it's like, okay, not quite. We literally put that information out there for everybody. I'm on the phone tree just like anybody else is.
You get it day one once you're approved.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we give that information out to all the teams from day one.
Actually, they get it day one with the application, your email address.
Is it the
Because you're
application?
CC'd. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's that information's out there, and there are some people who reach out to myself or Eric directly. Most don't.
I try not to.
Well, yeah, I get that. Vince and I, we only really see each other for this recording.
That's
and
it.
We try
That's
not
about
to.
it. Yeah.
And anybody that's listening is like, we hear you talk about hanging out all the time.
All the time.
So
It's not true.
No, it's not true at all. But yes, so we do try to get that feedback from. You're right, the survey thing, because we've had that too. It's been brought up multiple times. Like, why don't y'all do a survey midway through? Because every time we send a survey out, nobody will answer
Nobody
it.
responds.
So it's like it'd be great. We would love to have that survey. It's completely useless. And then we're hounding you to fill a survey out, and it's like, well, that's not fun either for anybody. So,
But also, really quick, the phone rings both ways in
Sure.
that sense. And
Yes.
and I don't mean that in a bad way, but there are always so many people for you to reach out to if you as a mentee are having an issue. And we have had multiple situations. I mean, I've been doing this job now for 3 years and as the mentor coordinator, and we have just transitioned. I mean, it's a constant change in how we as a staff do our jobs because we are trying to bob and weave and adapt to the needs of our teams that are coming on board, as well as the needs of the teams that have been with us for 5 or 8 years, you
Yeah.
know. So it's a huge variance, but someone is always here to answer your call. We will have teams, and the pairing of the mentor and mentee isn't always successful.
oh, great! I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
Because the very next question is, how does the company address any mismatches between mentors and mentees?
There we go. So
it's like
not-
you're reading my notes.
Well, it isn't always successful, and we have to know about it. So just because your mentor might communicate to us that you're not reaching out to them, if you are not reaching out as a mentee saying, I just don't jibe with them.
Mhm.
I mean, you are independent contractors. You're not employees. So we are not in your business, so to speak. So we really do put it upon the responsibility of you as a business owner to say, I'm not getting what I need from this business relationship with my mentees, and people will do that. And we are Johnny on the spot with that. I would say within a 24-hour period, we will have you with a different mentor.
Yes.
Can I guarantee that's going to be 100% successful? No. Sometimes it hits off and it goes and people are really successful with that. But quite often we have seen where if you're not calling and communicating with one mentee, one mentor, you
won't
may
for the
not do
second.
it with the second one.
Yeah.
And we've seen that more often than not, but we are always willing to make that change and that effort to try to give you the advantage and the best way to make good revenue for your truck and learn the business.
Well, it's probably, a 60-40 split. Probably 60% of the time, if a team says, I'd like to have a new mentor, we just don't jive or for whatever reason. A lot of times, then they don't jive with the next one and they don't jive with the next one. But 40% of the time, which is a big number, it does work. It does. It's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we're speaking the same language. I mean, Kelly, who I adore and is one of the, my closest friends, but also she runs she's over the entire fleet, but she's also specifically works with the FedEx fleet. She was a great mentor, and I could think of one of her teams. I would talk to Kelly, and she would be almost in tears because she just could not get through to this team. It was super frustrating. It's like, all right, well, would you be okay? And it was one of our first times we ever did it. Would you be okay if we swapped this to a different mentor? And Kelly was like heartbroken, but she said yes. They did it, and immediately the team snapped out of whatever funk they were in and were great. Like they really ended up being a great team. And it's not that Kelly was a bad mentor; she's a great mentor. She was one of our really well. I can't say one of our best because all of our mentors are great, but she was a really solid mentor. She was one of the first ones. She solid. Look at her track record. The teams that came from her were really, really great. She has a legacy that still lives on within the company. You know what I mean? Like, that's huge. they just weren't talking on the same level. Not the same. It's almost like
Frequency.
same frequency. Thank you. It's almost like a Windows and a Mac talking to each other.
Right.
They just weren't seeing eye to eye and didn't. And they both liked each other. I know they still have a friendship today. Like it's crazy, but they just couldn't get through to each other.
That's
and
funny
so
'cause
that does happen.
I have that same issue with Kelly too. Like Kelly and I, we butt heads. We just don't get along. So I just call Kayla when I have fleet support questions.
Yes.
And I talk to Kayla, and we get along just great, and issues get resolved, and it's no problem. But Kelly and I are great friends.
Yeah.
I love you too, Vince.
Well, again, I don't say that to knock Kelly in any means. I think y'all know that. It really is just to point out that sometimes, if you are in that hot seat of like, this isn't working for me.
Sure.
I can't. For some reason, I just can't get on the same page as my mentor.
Call me.
Yeah, talk to you. If you don't want to talk to Dina,
Call
reach out to
Kayla.
Kayla. Reach out to Kelly.
Call Delina. Call Melissa.
I'm like, start from the beginning. Call your
You can
recruiter.
shoot us an
Yeah.
email at
us all.
theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com.
right.
There's lots of ways to contact
Lots
us,
of ways to
and
contact us.
Hey, we don't know what we don't know.
exactly,
Exactly.
exactly.
We are here for your success.
Yes,
It's really weird. 100% honest about that. I mean, we've lived it, and we're here because of what our mentors did for us and what Patrick and Eric did the start of this. So it's tough when we have to make those decisions, but really our mentors do not take it personally because they want you to be successful in your business. They understand the concept. So if that happens, if that is you in the future, or if it's you right now, call me because it's okay. We will bob and weave, and we will do what we have to do to give you the best opportunity we can.
and if you are watching this and you're like, or listening to this and you're like, well, geez, I was thinking about going over and getting a mentor and joining Highfield, but like, I don't know now. I do want to point out that this is a very low number of people, single-digit percentage of our teams that have these kind of conflicts, and we just handle them when it happens. Again, we've been there. The mentors have been there. Most of our mentors are seasoned enough. They've had a team swap from them or to them from another mentor.
Sure.
It just happens. So, but the high 90-something% of teams, that's not the case. But we want to put that out there because it was presented to us, and also because we want y'all to know, like, this is a well-rounded, thought-out program that we have. It's something that we've put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of resources into. We are not done developing it. I mean, we've been at it now. You've been on staff for 3 or 4 years? 3 years? And before you, we were probably 4 years into it. So we're 7, 8 years in this mentor program, and we do not have it down. It's good.
Well,
we're
it's one
slick,
of the reasons why we're
but
doing this weekend too, is because we are here. Those breakout sessions are so we can reevaluate what we're doing, reevaluate the processes that we have with the mentor program, with the questionnaires, with the duration, with whatever, to make sure that we're still doing the right thing.
Yes.
For you.
Yes. While at the same time giving the mentors some information as well, so that it's not just one-sided. We're both working together to come up with a greater good.
Sure.
So I love this program. I'm very excited that we are still running it after all these years. It has truly been an industry-changing game. I tell you, go back to Facebook, or I don't know how you do this, but go back to the Expeditors Online, the forums. A lot of that stuff is 7, 8 years old at the newest. You won't see nobody will mention mentors. It doesn't exist. No, not a single company mentions it. If you look at people's advertising today, almost everybody mentions mentors available, or we can get you a mentor, or we can help you with a mentor. And the reality is nobody's doing what we're doing. Nobody's bringing people together for a weekend of investing into their lives and making sure that the teams are prepared, and none of them are doing monthly conference calls with everybody, carrier specific. It's a hot trendy word because we made it a hot trendy word.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you right now, nobody's doing what we're doing with that. at all. And a lot of it goes to the credit of, Dina working with the staff, or working with the mentors, but almost all of it goes to the mentors themselves. We've got an excellent group of people who bust tail and work their butts off and genuinely get joy out of seeing you be successful. And that's what it's all about. That's the joy of it. I mean, the lifelong friends is awesome. Yay, we got another person successful, whatever is great. But it's that joy of like working with these people and seeing seeing people's lives changed. How many people have we seen that have come out here and they need to build X number of dollars for their retirement fund, or they need to help get out of some insane debt, or they want to set themselves up for a future. We've got people that are we've talked about before, where we've had the lease owner program within our company, where people are buying trucks and they're now owner operators. We've got people who are starting fleets of their own underneath us and stuff. It's like there are so many great things that come out of this program. Awesome to see what's happened. It's awesome to see people's lives changed. It really,
it truly is.
It's really,
it truly is.
Probably the joys of what we do.
That's very rewarding.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If you like what you heard, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. It really does help us a lot. Please, please, please. There's a lot of you that watch but have not subscribed, so it really does help us with the YouTube algorithm. You can listen to this on all of your favorite podcasts. We're out there on all of those: Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere you like to listen to your podcast, we are available. If you would like to send us any email, if you would like questions or anything else that you would like to hear on the podcast, shoot us an email at theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com. I do not read that, but somebody will. And
I get that.
If you would like to,
it's on my Outlook.
If you would like to follow up with Highfield to find out more about Highfield and what we do over here, check out hyfieldtrucking.com. You can also reach out to recruiting from the website. You can speak to Delina, or you can speak to Melissa, or you can speak to myself. Sometimes I'm on there. You can also reach out to us at 1-833-HIGHFIELD. That's 833-493-4353. And we would love to chat with you and tell you all about the program.
Well, this has been a really fun episode. I appreciate so much y'all hanging out with us. We hope we made your ride down the road a little bit easier. We hope that we maybe brought some entertainment, at least some education about what we do and why we do it. And thank you for hanging out with us. Highfield staff, everybody around me right now, thank y'all so much for joining us. This was quite the feat to put together. It's very rare we're all in one room together. Jerry, thank you so much. He had to adjust his lights and cameras, and we messed everything up, and he had to come in early and take care of all that, so I appreciate that as well. Until next time, stay safe and make good decisions.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a-turning.
And chicks
Chicks
out.
Good night.